This is an official announcement from the Podcast Tonight Awards. Your favourite show that you're listening to right now has been officially nominated for a Podcast Tonight Award. But the power is in your hands. Amongst other categories, this show is in the running for the prestigious Listener's Choice Award, and they need your vote to win. You can show your support and help them get the recognition they deserve. The link to vote is in their show notes and bio. Go now and make your voice heard. This has been a message from Podcast Tonight, celebrating the best in audio.
Coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union Studios, Harford County Living presents Conversations with Rich Bennett.
Slow pitch transportation.
It's probably the sexy part of the No. The truth is.
All right, so what happens when a combat veteran turns his battlefield experience into one of the most authentic talk shows on the air? Meet Pete A. Turner, former counterintelligence officer, executive producer, and host of the kick-ass podcast, The Break It Down Show. With over 2,000 episodes and guests ranging from Nobel Prize winners to undercover operatives, Pete digs into real stories that the mainstream media won't touch, from war zones to world affairs. Off the mic, he's on a mission, raising awareness for PTSD, honoring his late brother through Save the Brave, and crossing the country to heal, serve, and connect. So this is more than a conversation. It's courage, compassion, and truth. And those of you that are thinking about starting a podcast, or even if you started one and you're still lost, this is one of the best people to listen to get some advice from. How's it going, Pete?
Man, it's going good. It feels good to have that intro. And I know I provide the notes for a lot of that stuff, but you definitely did an update, and I appreciate it. I will clarify one thing. I no longer work with Save the Brave, but it's not that I don't do things. They do what they do. I do what I do, and we do what we do separately. But yeah, I'm still passionate about helping folks. And yeah.
Well, what is Save the Brave? Was that is it a nonprofit?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit. Yeah, but they use fishing and jujitsu to try to work on healing veterans and getting us to want to stop killing ourselves. And so,
okay.
Yeah, so we started to diverge and realized, hey, like we want different things, and so we just went different ways. All good. I love those guys. There's no negative thing, but I don't want to have folks look at me and say, hey, he's a resource to Save the Brave, because I'm not. I can connect you to those guys, and they are wonderful, and you should go fishing with them. They are a lot of fun. But yeah, that's no longer what I do. And you put a bio out, and the stuff just stays, and I'm like, hey, I'm not mad at Save the Brave at all, but the reality is we've all moved on from each other, and we're all doing a lot of great work. Just different.
I was going to say, but you're still out there helping veterans and other people, right?
Yeah. I'm a big believer, like in the suicide prevention world, you'll often hear people say, make the pact with me, call me before you decide to try to do that. And I'm saying too late. You don't ask someone who's at the end of the rope to take a hand off the rope to call you. Yeah. Get way out in front of it, because the ability to save folks, and it's a great space to work. I would submit that get there 5 years earlier, connect with people. Take time, listen to them, find ways. And that for me is where the work for me needs to be at. I got sick of getting that call of, oh, so-and-so's dead, so-and-so's dead. Because it became, on my end, an unrealistic perception of reality. And I'm like, it's just people dying everywhere, which is actually happening, but that didn't belong to me. That was individual families. And I don't mind getting these phone calls. I know a lot of people, so I do get these phone calls quite a lot. But it was breaking my heart at a rate that my heart couldn't take. And so I had to get upstream a little bit, because I can only look. I was a spy. I saw tragedy every day, and my book of woe is filled up, and I don't feel anything a lot of times anymore. So for me, I've got to practice. My practice has to be well before the end of the rope happens.
But that makes a lot of sense, though, because you're right. And sometimes it's too late. And it's funny you mention that, because I just started a group on Facebook for veterans in my area that, to just talk, because sometimes you need that. And one of the things, those of you listening, especially if you're active military, veteran, even first responders, always, always, always stay in touch with your brothers and sisters. Yeah. Always. Because, yeah, you never know. You never know. And it could be just that one call asking, hey, man, what's going on? How you doing? That could save their life. Yeah. Or even save your own.
Yeah, and that work ahead of time might get you that last call where you have one last shot at saving that person. And by the way, when they're that far along, the recovery rate's pretty low. It's pretty low. But if you spent your time going and driving the extra hour, spending the extra time, doing whatever those things are, those investments do pay off. And you may never realize that you prevented something. But the amount of conversations I've had, and I'm someone who will drive out to that person and go see them. Yeah. I will invite them. I will think of them and call them. I do those things. That's part of my practice.
That's good.
But I'll hear quite often, man, I'm glad you called. I'm really struggling. Yeah. And now they're calling from a different point of view. They're not trying to hide. They're not trying to protect. They know that when they talk to me, they can talk to me. And you don't get that on call number one, by the way.
No,
you've got to earn that. And so that's really where my practice is. And I don't need a whole organization around me to do it. I just need to do it. And if I'm one at a time in it, well, then that's what I'm doing. I'm one at a time in it. But that's what I do. And that's where it best helps me help other people. Otherwise, I don't want to get tied into the goals of an organization that distract me from the one at a time in it, that I feel like I can make a tiny difference, but my difference.
Is that one of the reasons you actually started the podcast?
No, the podcast it predates all that stuff. I got back and I just had a zillion stories and I always wanted to get into radio. I have a degree in TV radio. And so
likewise,
yeah. And here we are doing it.
Yep,
right?
there you
but
go.
Not in a way that we ever would have believed when we got our TV radio degrees. It's like, wait, I'm going to do this. Like I thought I was going to go to Market 355, whatever it is, Duluth, Montana, or somewhere. No offense to Duluth, if there is a Duluth, Montana. And then I would be moving cable, and then I'd be sweeping, and then they'd say, "Hey, Dave is sick. Go grab the microphone," and then that'd be it, right? And I'd start climbing the ladder, but that never happened.
Yeah, never. You're not missing anything, man.
I know. I hear you. And it's so dog eat dog. It's dog eat dog, and personalities and all that shit. That's not how I play.
Hey, all right. So when you went to and when you got your degree in TV radio, what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. I completed my coursework and walked in 92.
Okay.
I had one more little tiny thing I had to do. I had 8 hours, not credit out, just 8 hours that I was short for whatever reason in the math.
Oh, man.
Like, you get. So my last class for my bachelor's was like an 8-hour storytelling class, But
wow.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. Back then, as compared to now, back then you didn't have all these corporate companies that owned so many radio stations and TV stations in one area.
Yeah.
So it was easy to get a job in there. Now, I mean, you could be in your living room on the radio, but on several different radio stations at one time.
Right.
It's all, everything is syndicated. Thank God for podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, the great thing is the bar to entry is low, right? You just got to get over it. And it's almost anybody can get over it. But the challenge there is the money is spread out over a big old vast ocean of people, and even if a guy's just taking $200 out of the till each month, that money used to go to some one person reliably, and now you're spreading money over, 1 billion people.
Oh yeah. All right. So why? Because the podcast Break It Down show, you started what, 11 years ago?
I guess so. Yeah, it's got to be.
I know we lose track.
Yeah. And I kind of quit counting. I'd say 2,000 episodes. It's more than that, and I don't know when I don't know that I'll even bother counting when it gets to. I can kind of estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that enough? Doesn't that prove that I know what I'm doing?
Well, and the funny thing is, because you drop 5 episodes a week, right?
Yeah. Often Monday, more.
Yeah, and I just celebrated my 750th, and when I started 10 years ago, I was only doing once a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally I went to once a week and then finally to 3 shows a week.
Right.
It's a lot of work and a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh my gosh, it's so much work. Yeah. Yeah, and like when I say I've got 2,000 and really well over 2,000 episodes now, it's like, am I making that number up? But then you just said, yeah, I started out once a month and then once a week and then 3 times a week and I'm at 750. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? It really is 2,000. Like it's so crazy the amount of work it takes, but also the amount of work we've done. And then, but I just know this is going to be true, but the way that our show has positively impacted our lives and my friends' lives.
Yeah. Yeah, which is important. And I think that's the greatest thing I love about it is just how much more it has affected me, but other people listening.
Yeah.
And, we were talking about earlier, just saving the lives, talking to people. And when you have somebody contact you and because you more or less saved their lives or life or somebody else's because of somebody you had on your show, you would have never thought that.
Right.
But it's true. It happens.
Yeah.
So when you started, were you doing everything yourself, the production, the editing, everything?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I started the show with my good buddy John. He's still part of the show, but it's my show now.
Right.
That's a happy agreement, and so I try to blow his mind whenever I can. I try to put him in the host chair because this is one of the great gifts of that. It's like, hey, I'll say to him, remember that time we started that show? And then we had on, real famous, because that person's about to be on the show. Like let's say I book Ice Cube, which is a possibility that's going to happen. So I'll say to John, remember that time we invented that silly radio show thing and it became a podcast and we had Ice Cube on? And they'll be like, you motherfucker, you booked Ice Cube? And I'll be like, yeah, and you're the host, right? And so that's what I love to do to John, So I'll put him in the host chair and sit back here and tap the keys and do all that.
Laugh your ass off.
And enjoy the shit out of it. Yeah. The other day we had on this butcher, right? And I'm saying butcher, I mean, think of like the world's greatest butcher, and this guy's in that team picture, right? So this guy's incredible. And you don't get this guy. I got this guy because of my ridiculous show. And we were in San Francisco because that's by where John lives. That's by where the butcher is. And we went there and I sat back and I let John have at it. And it was incredible. And then we had this great night because we did it later after the butching day was over. And then he's like, now let's make some meat. And oh yeah. Because this guy, he's a Wagyu beef person.
Yeah.
Right? And the Japanese come to him and say, hey, we have a new strain of cows. We want you to be the guy who breaks it in America. Like that's how revered this guy is. And we got to go have a show. So I put my buddy John in the host chair. And I'm thrilled for him. And I love to do that. I love to bring other people in and either have them co-host with me or whatever. I've got next month, I kind of know some of the crew from Little House on the Prairie now because of my
God.
Show, right? And this is ridiculous. Wow. Rich, this is all silly. How in the world did I build this? I thought I was going to be carrying cable in Duluth, Montana if that place existed. I know a number of members from the cast of Little House on the Prairie. So I'm going to have them on the show week after next. And
that's
so there's
awesome.
A girl from my hometown, way younger than me. She's like a young person in her 20s. And she's like, you know those guys? And I'm like, yeah, you want to talk to them? And she's like, what are you talking about? That's not possible. And I'm like, you're going to come co-host this show.
Oh, wow.
And so she doesn't even expect this to happen. And here's the thing is like, so obviously it's good for me because I get to have this pleasurable moment. Obviously good for this person, but also this is why you do these things. The Little House on the Prairie crew that are going to be on my show, they're now connecting and vitalizing this younger audience.
Yeah.
She's going to tell all of her friends, oh my God, I met Nellie Olson and I met, Alonzo. So, because it's going to be those characters, right? And it's going to blow her mind. And the crew are going to be like, hey, that girl's mind was just blown. And they know how to handle all that. They handle that all the time. But now, like, it just continues to pay dividends in a way that I find enormously valuable.
Man, you're giving me ideas now because I got several different co-hosts, but I think there's only one where I'll look at her and say, okay, I'm passing it over to you. You run the show.
Yeah.
And that's usually with people that are in recovery because she's used to that. I mean, she runs a nonprofit doing that. But Pete, Pete, you're giving me some ideas. I'm going to piss some people off.
Yeah.
Especially my sister for throwing me under the bus. I can't wait to get somebody on and have her co-host. Robin, okay, you're hosting it. I'm sitting back. I'm running the board.
Yeah. Or like I like to find two guests that are, I guess you would say, contrary, but can have capable of having a positive conversation. A good example is I had a Second Amendment episode where I had someone whose child died in a school shooting, and he's still pro 2A. And then I had someone who is like the prototypical, left coast or East Coast, upper middle class, if not wealthy, blue blood kind of upbringing. And she's a lawyer, and she's like, it's absolutely not community right. And I don't know what the answer is, but I want to hear these two talk it out in a way that was rational and reasonable.
Have a conversation.
Yeah. Because we need more of that, not less.
We do.
And they were both respectful to one another, and they really did a great job, because these are real people trying to really sort of thing out that, as much as we believe in our beliefs and like this is the way it is, you have another person who's just as rational, just as reasonable, saying, I think it's this way. You're going to have to say, you know what? I don't agree, but I don't think that you're crazy. And I hear you talking, and I understand why you come from that point of view. And it's okay. It's okay to disagree on this. We don't have to solve that equation. We can withstand the unsolvable nature of abortion by simply just talking to people on both sides, like, oh, actually, I don't think all of this. I think this. And you're like, well, I'm only this far away. I think we can handle that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about our shows too, is that you can relate. You can get good at relating to people in a way. And so I like to have two guests, two hosts, whatever, to create a positive triangle conversation. My favorite thing is to have them going, then I sit back in the rocking chair, way back here, and I just let them rock. It's my favorite thing. I go to the Vin Scully School of Broadcasting. I just shut up. And I'll let, when I get that guest in a canter, I'm like, let him canter. I just sit back.
I love that idea, because I mean, the thing is, nowadays you don't see a lot of shows like that where they let that happen. But the other thing is, it's just having two people, and I like the idea of two people, one from each side, because if you have more than, like even three from one side and three from the other side,
it gets chaotic.
And they're going to try to overtalk one another. Yeah. But man, you're giving me ideas already. Holy cow.
Well, we've been around. You and I both have been around the block.
Yeah, but I've never done that, and here's why: because my sponsors don't want me to get political.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason I really haven't done it. I mean, I've had some guests on where it got close to it. Like I had the local sheriff where you were talking about ghost guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But other than that, no, yeah. Thanks, Pete. You're giving me homework already, man.
Man, I'm telling you. Well, this is because we have shows that are, like, we're not trying to do this. We do this, right? Like we're in the active production of things. We can develop, and look, I'm not great at all of it. There's all kinds of areas where I'm like, how do I improve this? How do I improve that? And I love when I get folks that don't know anything about our business and they try to tell me how to improve my show. And I'm like, hey, that's all, you're an adorable, precious little baby. There's already so much going on. Are you going to kick in money to help provide the capacity? No? Okay, well then let me do the big pile of work that I'm already doing. My plate is full, right? And this is a big thing for folks trying to start a podcast. I know you want the dream. Like I see VW bus and I'm like, that's a dream machine. I want to get in that thing. I'm going to camp. I'm going to go to the beach in it. It turns out I don't actually want one of those things. I just love the dream that, or go to REI. Man, I want to go on every adventure when I go to REI. But the reality is I do what I do, and that's it. And I don't have a whole lot of room for REIing in my life, right? It's not that REIing is bad, but I don't need a high-end downhill mountain bike. It's purpose-built to go fast. And as much as I want to, as much as I feel that pull. And so podcasts are dream machines, and we get lost in the dream. But the reality is you have to, and I use swimming as my analogy for this a lot. You have to get in the pool and you have to go swim laps, and swimming a mile, that's table stakes. So if you don't think you can swim a mile or podcast and you can't get to table stakes, well, then start smaller and just start once a month, and put out a terrible show and be embarrassed at how bad it is.
And don't delete it.
Yeah, right. And let it be out there and just
Yeah.
get better and better. Or don't, or cancel it and be like, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. And just know that, hey, that's not my business. And maybe one day that'll change and it will be your business and you'll get back into it. But then you'll be focused on it in a different way. Don't feel bad about not starting it. Don't feel bad about quitting. Don't feel bad about it not working out the way you wanted it to work out because none of you didn't know where this show would be 10
Right.
years ago. You didn't know. I didn't know. And we certainly didn't know when we got our goofy mass comm degrees, right? We never thought we'd be doing this. And I love this. This is great.
Oh,
And
me
so
too.
that's the biggest advice I give to anybody is like, if you don't have time and money, then don't start a podcast because it
No.
costs both of those things. And you can do it for free, but it's way more time. So
And you know that nothing's really free either.
nothing's free.
I mean, because I see that a lot. You'll see a lot of them will start a podcast and they'll go on one of those free services
Yep.
that usually puts commercials in during your podcast. And then they have that question, well, how do I monetize my podcast?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, first of all, if you're going to go out there and get sponsors, get off the free platform.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's a slap in the face to the sponsor. The last thing a sponsor wants to hear is, especially if it's a host read ad and it's baked in,
Yeah.
all of a sudden that ad is interrupted by an ad from that free service, which we all know that happens. And yeah, you don't want to do that. Do you feel that a lot of people that are getting into podcasting, especially the ones that give up so quickly, they're not putting together a plan, almost like a business plan?
Let me back up for a second. I want to answer that question, so don't let me lose track of the business plan
Okay.
question. But when folks talk about monetizing, and I'm probably going to do a video like this for Alex for the pod. By the way, anybody wanting to start a podcast, get on PodMatch.
Yes.
I've tried all these things, and I am saying that I'm not getting paid to say this. PodMatch is the rocket fuel that might make a difference in someone because there's resources in every direction. There's all kinds of stuff, and they're glad to build a new tool. We haven't got it set up yet, but maybe next quarter, Alex and I will have a meeting about something that I think might help improve PodMatch for me and for him. So we'll see how that
Nice.
goes. But PodMatch is really it's rocket fuel. When you want to find out how to monetize your podcast, you cannot say these words to me. Oh, I can't stand to listen to myself. I can't stand my voice. I can't stand to see myself on camera. You
Oh,
don't get to
God.
say that.
Yeah.
How can if you can't take you, then why am I going to take you? Like if you're not
Exactly.
going to work to be professional. And if you're already professional and you can't watch yourself, okay, that's a different story. But we're talking about someone who's starting out. You have to listen to yourself so you can slow down. I know every word I'm saying. I'm hearing it as a producer right now. So I'm not just blah, 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 blah. I'm talking by design. But it looks like and sounds like I'm not. And right now my voice is deep here in my chest, deeper now, right? But I get really excited. I can talk up in my head. I know every second in my show what I'm doing. And so you don't get to monetize until you master these basic things where you understand the language you're going to. If I say a swear word, it's never on accident, never slips out.
Right.
It's always by design. When I flip someone off on camera, it's always a design because I'm being funny or impactful, right? And that's what it takes to get to the point where you can. Again, I talk about table stakes. Can you swim a mile, right? Can
Right.
you podcast reliably, show up on time, do a good product, exchange value for your guests? Because you've got to keep track of three things. What does the show need? What does the guest need? And what does the audience need? And if you aren't clocking that as you're talking, because this is exactly what I'm doing now, then you can't grab other people's money. You haven't earned it yet. You've got it.
Right.
The competition level, you're competing against Jason Bateman. Right. And you might be like, well, I'm not competing against. Yes, he's taking attention and he's hyper famous and he has a show. So all those people that love Jason Bateman are not coming over to your show. And the reality is, and you got to accept this, 8 billion people are not going to hear your episodes. 8 billion. Right. So you cannot do this to get famous. You cannot get money if you aren't willing to accept these truths. And if you are going to get money, it won't be for long because someone's going to be like, hey, there's no return here. You have to figure out where value is, and money falls subordinate to value. And if you can trade value, money will show up. I promise it will.
Now back to the business plan part. even though that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So I think if you're starting out, don't write a business plan. Just get
Okay.
good at getting in the pool. Just get good at swimming 10 meters. Can you swim 10 meters? Can you feed your show 7 days a week? No, I can't. Okay, how many days can you feed your show? And by feed, I mean like, can you spend money? Can you spend time on it? I have 3 days a week. Okay, how much time each day? And you
Mm-hmm.
can grow from there, right? But let's just say it's I've got 20 minutes a day after my kids go to bed. And before I actually wipe out and get too tired, I'm going to put 20 minutes a day into oh, you know what? I'll do 30. Okay, great. Well, see if you can do 3 days this week. Did you do it? No, I didn't. All right. Well, let's see if you can get to 3 days. That's where you start before you ever need to build a business plan, because a business plan is reason to not do anything. Now, that's the person who's just getting started. If
Right.
you're a lawyer, if you're a professional, if you have a business, if you have a tie to some kind of business niche, different conversation. So, and I would say the conversation before business plan is, why are you doing, not like what's your why? No, like specifically, why are you doing this? And it can't be, I need to spread my message. That is for you. That is not for everybody else.
Right.
So why are you doing this? Well, because I'm a lawyer in a niche market. And I think that wills and trusts, I'm a will and trust lawyer, and I want people to be able to understand the values of wills and trusts. So I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to teach people about wills and trust no matter where they live, that kind of thing. Okay, great. And that is going to what? Well, it's for the greater good. Don't do that. Then don't go on other people's shows and talk about wills and trusts. Go become a guest. But if you're saying, no, I'm going to bring other lawyers on, and I'm going to get this the Wills and Trust Association of America to kick in $5,000 a year for me to do this, then okay, that's a business proposition. Now maybe you're going to do a business plan. But in
Mm.
between there, those seams, that's where shows are born, and that's where they evolve to become something else. And then you can think about what the business plan is, and then you can think about monetization, because you're talking about a professional thing. And by the way, if you're lawyering and doing that, you need to hire a producer. You need to
Yeah.
hire someone like Rich or myself to go, here's what we're going to do. Because the thing you know about Rich and Pete is that we know how to produce. So buy some of our time, and that ain't cheap. And then we'll help you get over all of the hurdles that stop everybody else. And again, that goes into your business plan. So this is going to be a cost center until you figure out what the value of the show is. And it probably isn't an audience, because that's just so rare. You can't count on it. But are you connecting people to resources? Are you meeting the kind of people you need to meet in terms of professional or B2B or whatever it's going to be? Are you doing these things that all have value in it? Then yes, now write a business plan and say, this is what I do, this is where the value is, and this is why I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to, and this is how, then you can have a plan. Otherwise, there's just, I don't know, for my thoughts, Rich, it's just too much speculation on what the future is going to be. You don't even know if you could turn the mics on and show up 5 days a week or 3 days a week or
Right.
4 times a month.
Oh yeah, and yeah, you definitely got to do that. Actually, I want to go back to the beginning.
Sure.
Just so, especially for those that want to get into podcasting, understand, because people listen to your show now, they're like, there's no flaws. I mean, this is perfect. But we mentioned about going back to those first episodes. What was your biggest struggle when you first started compared to now?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so long ago, right? I could ask you the same question, and maybe you'd have an answer. I was already pretty good at this, right? And so I had to learn what professional was, and I didn't know. And there was no way to really know. There was no one around to teach you. Keep in mind, like I've always wanted to have a talk show, and as a kid, I would play talk show. So I I had a lot of development already. And then when I got my
Right.
degree, I set up a talk show. So I've had a lot of practice. And then I was a spy, which is really just a walking dangerous talk show. I'm just talking to people, understanding who they are, what they do. So I had a lot of skill in how I interviewed because I just had done it so much with so many people and so many, all that, right? So that part, I didn't need a lot of honing, but I did learn over time more about the very top end of what a great interview sounds like, right? And I'm always critical of myself and how I do things, and I realize I should shut up more and all these other kind of things that happen. But I know what those things are. I didn't know what those things were. I knew I was good enough, but I didn't know how to get to be top tier. and I
Right.
didn't know what top tier, like Dave Letterman's a great interviewer. Oh, sure, of course. Like he's done a zillion of them, of course. But why is he good? Well, he gets the guests to say things. Oh, anybody
Mm.
bad can just basically do. What are the hallmarks of greatness? And then which of those tools do I have in my bag, and which of those tools do I use the most? And understanding that, I didn't have that when we first started.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that because you always wanted to do a talk show.
Yeah,
I was the opposite. When I was in radio, I was a music DJ. I didn't like talking to people.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when somebody suggested this, I'm like, really? It's like,
yeah,
okay. Well, but I got used to talking to people from being in sales and DJing in the nightclubs and everything.
sure.
But yeah, I was completely different. So I produced talk shows on radio, but I never was talking.
Right,
I was talking
right.
up the music. That was it. And that's a big difference, a huge difference. All right, compared to when we started, what do you think is the biggest change in podcasting now, besides video, of course? You're listening to Conversations with Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. I've got to share something with you. If you're in Maryland and thinking about real estate, you've got to check out Daniel McGee and the Victory Team. A close friend of mine sold their house with them, and honestly, I was blown away by the smoothness of the process and the level of care they received. And it's not just them. Several others in my circle have had similar experiences. Daniel and his team have this personal touch that's just so rare these days. They actually listen and tailor their services to fit exactly what you need. And with fees way lower than the industry standard, you really feel like you're getting luxury service without that hefty price tag. So whether you're buying or selling, go to victoryteamsells.com and get started with Daniel McGee and his incredible team. Believe me, with them, it's not just a transaction, it's a relationship.
Oh yeah, yeah. Video probably is the biggest thing. But the other big change is, well, I mean, the bar has been changed. We talked about this earlier. It's
Yeah.
just the bar is as low as you want it to be, and anybody can build a media company. I have a media company. Not all that great, right? But I have a media company, and so anybody can do this. You don't have to have 40,000 watts of power, blasting out of the
Right.
Midwest, talking to 17 different states. You don't have to. You don't have to share the kill with anybody else. If you can sell your own ads, you get to keep all that money, you
Yeah.
know? And that's incredible because there's a lot of companies that they get, it's not just numbers. It's not just numbers, man. This is the big thing. Like, what are your ratings? What do you get? Like, well, I have 1,000 people that are dying to give me money. And I'm just saying this as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're dying to give me money each month. Do you want access to them? They're heavy readers. Every time you come on my show, I'm gonna sell books every single time, right? If I could say that, and I've got book clubs built out and all these other things, well, I can command a lot of money because I'm talking to a very specific niche of people,
Right.
and I can say, if you come on my show, yeah, you're going to sell books. Matter of fact, why don't you buy an ad and we'll lift up this episode because that $100 is only going to help sell even more books. So maybe you sell 5 books today, and this doesn't sound like a lot, but an author will take $5 or 5 sales in a
Oh,
minute, right?
yeah.
I'm going to go speak for an hour and sell 5 books, and I'm sitting on my couch. Oh, hell yeah, let's do that, right? Now spend another $100. Basically, give all that money back, or maybe that plus some, and then have 10x the number of people hear that episode, thousands of
Mm-hmm.
people. Well, yeah, because now I'm not just marketing for reach to sell books. Now I'm marketing for awareness, and more people are going to exist. And then when you do that, and someone searches for, Rich Bennett, well, all the other Rich Bennetts become subordinate in
Right.
the list, and you rise up. And so now you're trying to sell your book, and that one little $100 ask did all three of these things, and it largely was paid for by my show, even though I only sold 5 books. There's a lot of value in those 5 books that were bought. And oh, by the way, the book club actually just bought 12 because 12 dudes are in that book club and they love books like that. And oh, and by the way, and so there's all these by the ways that start to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize there's a field of value that you can get. That wasn't possible 30 years ago to create that reliably. Book clubs were completely independent from the media company.
Right.
They didn't, I mean, maybe some of them had those book clubs, right? But they weren't intimate like they are now, where it's friends who decide to build their own book club.
Well, and the other thing with that, especially with entrepreneurs, and I tell this to authors that are coming on, or even authors that should be on podcast, and for some reason they're not. One of the things they don't understand, as let's say, compared to radio or TV, if they go on radio or TV, or when they do it and they pitch their book, it's seen, and unless somebody DVRs it or whatever. Is that a thing now? Records it, saves it somehow.
Right.
It's seen that one time. Come on your show or my show or any show and you pitch your book.
Yeah.
You sell those 5 books, but guess what? Even 5 years, 10 years from now, somebody hears that episode, they may buy your book again. And that's something that authors don't understand. You got to keep selling them, even years down the road. It doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to like this question because this is a question one of my co-hosts asked me the other night for our 750th, and it threw me off. But what, for you, what was one of the biggest, and I'm going to say it just like he did, when you during your podcast, what was one of your biggest holy shit moments with a guest?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I mean, when you
that's what I said.
Yeah, it's like I don't, there's so many, but there's some that I've repeated quite a lot, and I'll repeat them constantly because they are big lessons, and
yeah,
you trying to communicate it. Sometimes you have to up the amount of times. So when we first started, we had a guy, a very famous person, a guy named Sly Stone on the show. He passed away recently. Yeah.
Wait a minute, what? Oh,
yeah.
Oh God, never
Sly
mind.
Stone. Yeah,
Stone, okay.
Jesus. But Sly Stone passed away. What? No, I mean, 'cause in a lot of ways, Sly Stone is more impactful than Sly Stallone, right? So these guys are comparable in terms of fame. A lot of us in the modern world don't realize it, but and here's the thing that you say about Sly Stone is the people who copied the people who copied the people who copied the people who copied the people copied Sly Stone to make all of the modern music. His fingerprints are on everything. And he was and I say genius, I'm not talking like regular level genius. He's the kind of God touched genius. Like Sly Stallone's brother, Frank, who God went, you can do music. And he's like, I had a miracle and I could do music. I just could do it. Right. So that's like Sly Stone. And so Sly has this stream of music always flowing through him, and he had to get it out. He had to capture it. It became like this, I'd say, like obsession, it made him crazy, probably. Anyhow, we got this show, and we're doing pretty good. We're not even 50 episodes in, and we've got Sly Stone on our show. Holy
damn.
Shit. Yeah. And he says to us, if my music isn't good enough, I don't deserve to eat. And I was like,
wow.
The stakes are higher than I realized because there's a lot of Sly Stones out there. You think about like Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds wasn't known as a cuddly, lovable guy because he was fixated on hitting the ball. And if you can't maintain that, doesn't matter. That's fine. You can still succeed, but your peer is. Your peer is out there doing it. Mike Tyson, I got out of bed because I knew the other guy was training right now. Whether he was or not didn't matter. But Mike Tyson was, and he got up and he trained. And so when you say, I'm all in, do you have cable? Yes. I spend 10 hours a week watching TV. I'm like, that ain't all in, friend. Are all your credit cards maxed out? You don't know how to pay your next bill? That's closer to all in.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to be reckless, but I'm saying that someone out there is playing at that level where they won't eat because I have to work harder or I have to make more money, whatever it is. And they will put themselves through the ringer to get, and every single thing is a competition. And so when you think about that, whatever is left after that person consumes that part of it, you're welcome to the other stuff, but there's another ravenous person out there who's desperate for that thing to the point of ruining their lives. They will go after it.
50 episodes in and you had Sly Stone?
Well, we had connections. We have networks, But
right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I-
We
I- Oh man! All right, so and that's good. There's another question that people always ask. So before PodMatch, how did you get most of your guests? Because you've had some big guests on there.
tons of things. Yeah. And I get big guests all the time.
Yeah,
And you know,
and
this,
even
like,
throw them in the host or the co-host seat.
oh yeah. No, listen, I've had famous people sit in as co-hosts. I have. I've
Yeah, I
done it.
know.
One of the things that you have to realize is someone who's doing media is just going to do media. And so
Mm-hmm.
you don't ever, the advice is don't ever borrow no. Just ask and get better at asking, of course, but just ask because people that say yes are going to say yes. And there's been so many times where I've reached out to someone and they said, oh, you know what? We just had a meeting the other day and decided that podcasts are going to be the thing that we do. You're the first one to ask. And it's like, bam, booked, you know?
Damn.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But my show is so established now that it really, for the most part, books itself. Like I
Right.
use PodMatch and I force myself to crowd my schedule out with PodMatch people because I find value in that. But if I
Yeah.
didn't, I would still have 5 guests a week. I can either check in with someone and say, hey, let's do an update, and they'll say yes. Or someone will reach out to me and say, hey, can you have so and so on? And I'll say yes. And so I just churn through this inflow of guests that are there. And it's that all came because I asked people. You know, Sly Stone can't say yes if you don't ask him.
Exactly. That yeah. And if they say no, so what? Move on
Yeah,
to
so
the
what?
next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You all right? So you're dropping 5 episodes a week,
Yeah.
but how many episodes do you actually record a week?
Almost all of my shows go out live now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Almost all. But sometimes they don't. Like I was going to do a show this morning and the timing just didn't work out. I might have banked that one because I'm going to be on the
Right.
road next week and I'm probably not going to produce any live there. I might, right? But I've done enough that I don't have to be crazy about this now. So when I travel and I've got all my gear fits in my backpack. So wherever I go, Sergeant Major's like, you got to be portable, mobile, and deployable. Come on, Bennett. You got too much gear. You can't haul it. You can't go with it. And you're like, all right, God damn it. So my backpack has all my, it's not light, but my backpack has all my stuff in it. And I can set up a 3-camera shoot anywhere in the world. And that ability to do that, man, it's created some really awesome opportunities. So, but the opportunity sometimes is just like if I came out wherever part of the country you're in, let's say I'm in your neighborhood and we get together, I'll have my gear and we probably will say, should we do a show? And then we'll decide, you know what? No, we're going to pop pops and we're just going to kick it on the deck and let this moment be the moment. And we're not going to share that moment. Right. So in that case, I'll probably always have a show in reserve that I can put up. And I got a couple right
Right.
now that I have to do some editing on. I just haven't gotten to it because I'm busy enough that I don't mind having that episode sit there and kind of being evergreen and coming out whenever. Like I've got this one with this older lady, very famous, and she had a bit of a cough because she's in her 90s, and so I'm going to do the work of lasering those coughs out and
Oh
just fixing
wow.
it so that she looks and sounds the way she deserves, and that just takes more time, right? So
But
almost
it's
all
worth
the
it.
rest are all live the second I do them because I just don't want to spend any time in post at all.
Something else you just said there, which I believe is very important, and a lot of, I don't want to say, well, podcasters don't understand it, but I also think a lot of people that go on the podcast don't understand it.
Mhm.
Explain why it is so important when you get onto a podcast to remember that evergreen part, because you'll have somebody to come on and now you do it live. That's different.
Yeah.
But like with me, I'm recording 3 to 8 episodes a week,
Right.
and people will come on and start talking about an event that's coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
So explain how important I
Yeah.
guess tell the listeners what evergreen is too, because there are some podcasters that don't know that, believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah. Evergreen is it's stuff that is evergreen, and so it's always relevant. So I might have a show that we talk about the Israeli-Hamas conflict, and so that's not evergreen because that conflict is always in flux. There's been
But you
times
can
when
do
we've done,
live too.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's times where while we're live and we're talking about the current situation has changed. I mean, that
Well,
happens.
yeah.
That happens. So that's not evergreen content. Now, within that show, there might be evergreen moments, certain thoughts or certain,
Right.
whatever. But that's not evergreen content. So evergreen content is us talking about right now, like this, the state of podcasting. There's some non-evergreen things, like maybe Jason Bateman will get hit by a car tomorrow and he won't be around. He won't have a podcast anymore, right?
Maybe we'll
But
bring back Gozark.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll just say, "Hey, I'm busy. I'm not doing that stuff anymore." Right? So maybe that happens. So those elements wouldn't be evergreen, but the
Right.
principles, the ideas of like get in the pool and swim, can you, table stakes, all that. That's all evergreen content. And you can always publish that, and that's a nice thing about that is you can go back and they call it arbitraging. You can just reach back in time and just go, "I'm going to republish these things," because guess what? 8 billion people haven't seen it, and so I'm
Mhm.
going to go back and hey, here's a classic. Radio shows do this. Rich is going to be on vacation, so we're going to play best of for the whole week, and someone does a compilation. Howard Stern all the time, right? We used to do that kind of thing. So that's evergreen content. You can just play it again, and it's just going to be great. When
Mhm.
Howard Stern interviews Pamela Anderson, it's just going to be great, and so you can play it over and over again, and it'll fill that hole. And also in this case, in the modern sense, it'll have a new life and generate revenue. And sometimes that stuff goes viral again or for the
Yeah.
first time. I've had an author on my show who wrote a book about World War II, and it did okay. He's a professional book writer. It did okay. And then something happened, and that book went bestseller again, years after he wrote it, because it
Wow.
became relevant. And that's evergreen content. You can always write about World War II because it's always going to sell. And then sometimes it goes crazy and sells really well long after you wrote it. That's the essence of evergreen content.
You're doing, or I believe you're doing something else or getting ready to, or have you already done it? And this is something that some of my co-hosts want to do as well. Aren't you, or did you take the podcast on the road?
Oh yeah, I do that. I do that quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah. That's all part of that portable mobile deployable thing. So
The backpack thing that Bennett
yeah,
needs.
yeah. So like when I don't know, did I talk about the butcher? We had this butcher on the
Yes.
show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Sarah
So
Fran.
yeah, I mean that's if I go up north, I'm gonna grab a show from somebody, and I'm gonna sit in their house or in their business or whatever. Yeah, we're gonna have a great conversation. So my show is always trying to be on the road. Like this isn't practical for us to be on the road here in this case, right? But if I'm coming to your hood, I am gonna have my gear, like, and we are gonna have the discussion. Like, do we want to do a show? And then yeah, we'll set it up. I've got a couple more live ones lined up when I'm in England next week.
Oh,
Eh,
wow.
if I have the opportunity, and I will, I'll be able to find someone and talk to them. And it can. Here's the thing: is it can be anybody because of the nature of my show. It's very much like Joe Rogan's show. I can go to England and go to the whoever it's going to be. I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be in Dorset, right? So if I go to the local church and I get the vicar and he comes on my show, that guy's going to be great. He knows how to talk to people, and
Oh,
it's going to be
wow.
interesting. So I can do anything. Or there's an 800-year-old farm, and there's the farmer. I can talk to that guy and
Oh,
just
I
be
would
like,
love that.
right? Yeah, and so I get to I get to do whatever I want. And I don't care if anybody else finds it interesting. I want to talk to the vicar. I want to talk to the butcher. I want to talk to these incredible people because here they are and they've done it
Yeah.
and they're doing it in real life. And and that to me is fascinating. The human condition is
It,
fascinating.
I'll never forget. It was a couple years ago. We went to New Orleans. First time I've been there. And I wanted to take my equipment so bad, but
Mhm.
we were going down for a wedding. I was told I wasn't allowed to. I would have missed the wedding because just all the people I've met there. I just wanted to sit down and record with them and talk.
Yeah.
And you're right. I'm going to have to start doing that. I'm going to just have to start carrying my equipment with me because
Yeah.
you meet fascinating people everywhere. And it's like, oh my God, I really want to hear your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I
Yeah.
had my equipment. And sometimes it's hard to make that to schedule something for them to actually come on.
Yeah.
Got to take that moment and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, portable, mobile, deployable. These are the keys. So yeah, like are you willing to get in your truck, in your car, on a plane, on a boat, on a train, whatever it's going to be, and go to that person, and you don't even have to know who that person is. Who is the mayor of this town? Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that person, you're going to say, I want to find the most interesting person in this town after I talk to you. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, of course, I'm the most interesting, but you should also talk to so and so. They're a world famous author. They live here. I'll call them for you. So now I'm their guest. They're booking me talent. It's going to happen. Always does.
Mm-hmm.
Always happens. And they're going to show me the best thing about, in this case, Dorset, right? They're going to show me the very best things about Dorset and tell me all about the history. Oh, you've got to talk to so and so. He's so interesting. He tells the best stories. They will tell me who to go talk to. And that person's going to sit down. And maybe we're on a show, maybe not. Maybe I just have an incredible experience. The show kind of becomes an auxiliary thing. So if
Yeah.
we decide to do it, we do it. If not, whatever. I'm going to be in London as part of this trip. And again, because of who I am and who I've met and how these things work, you have to talk to so and so. They're amazing. They're a genius. No one ever gets to book him, but I know him, and so he'll do it. And so I've got this guy lined up. We were going to do a show today, but didn't work out timing wise. So if we get the show done before I leave, and we're going to try to do it tomorrow, then great, it'll go out. But now we'll be connected because we did the show. He knows more about me. And when I get to London, I'm going to be his guest in London.
Oh, wow.
And he's gonna what would you do if someone popped into town like we had the best conversation? They'll be like, let me show you everything, and we're gonna run around, eat, drink, meet, talk, go, all these things, right? And that's what happens when you take a show on the road is you become their guest, and when you
Right.
have them on your show as your guest, there's like, how can I do more? How can I be a better? And here's the thing about this is a secret
Ooh.
insider forget pros. This is deep pro tips. Learn how to become a good guest. Not on shows, yes, of course that, but just learn how to say yes. Like when someone, if I went, okay, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so I go
Mm-hmm.
out and I go see Rich face to face. I'm in Rich's house and he says, hey, let's go grab some lunch. We go grab some lunch. And when Rich goes to grab the bill, I'm going to let him. Because of course he's going to buy me lunch when I'm in his hometown. Hey, we're going to go to Mabel's, and you got to get the crab Louie. I'm all right, and I'm going to do what he says because it's his turf. He knows what's going on, and he's like, and I'm getting the bill. Right? That's how you do this, and it's not because you're
Yeah.
freeloading. It's you're allowing somebody else to be great. You're allowing them to be a host, and when that happens, man, your show just it cracks open in a way that is uncommon to learn how to work in someone else's space so they're comfortable and they're showing you the very best of what they've got. It's an enormous value. It's huge.
All right, you said Crab Louie, which I
Yeah.
have no idea what the hell that is, but now I want to try it.
Yeah.
So, if you ever make it out here to Maryland,
You got it.
look me up because I'm going to show you what crabs really taste like.
See what I
Good
mean?
crabs.
This is the example, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Maryland steamed crabs.
No, of course not, right? Like if I go to Philly and I want to get a cheesesteak, I know I'm not going to Pat and Gino's or like someone if I'm there visiting someone from Philly, I'm like, oh come on, that's for tourists. And there's nothing wrong with those places, but they're going to take me to their spot,
Right.
you know. And by the way,
Oh, yeah.
they're not going to make me buy it. They're going to be like, let me show you. And then they'll be like, Robbie, because Robbie runs that place or whatever. And Robbie's going to be like, you came in from California to have my cheesesteak? How'd you find out? Oh, because Paul said to come in.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's on me. Like, that is going to happen. And then you've got to figure out what you do with that. Okay, now I'm here. Well, then I'm going to come back, Robbie, later on. Let's do an episode of my show and talk about cheesesteaks.
Brilliant.
Everybody loves this. Everybody wins. And you could never buy a cheesesteak again in Robbie's place. Because who's gone to Robbie and said, what you do is fascinating. Let's talk about it.
Wow. All right, so because I'm looking at the time too,
Yeah.
and I know you got things to do as well.
I do.
But before I get to my last question,
Okay.
and look, Pete, I'm just going to tell you right up front. I may have said it in the beginning. The door is open anytime you want to come back because we didn't even talk about the military.
Yeah.
And I mean, which I think is important, especially other veterans. And I said it, they need to hear about how we're all out there for one another. But is there anything you would like to add before I get to my last question, besides your website and everything?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to promote a thing, just go to YouTube and Pete A. Turner. My show is on there. I've got a zillion shorts, so
Yeah, you do.
there's something for everybody. And if I'm not your cup of tea, hey, it's fine. Look, it's good. All of this stuff works out the way it works out. And if I'm valuable in some other way and you want to pitch me something, man, I'm all about it. And how about this? If you want to produce an episode of my show, just tell me who you got. let's go. Let's do it. My job is to say yes to these things. So the next time someone reaches out from the blue and's like, Pete, how would you like to have on so and so? Even if I don't know who they are, tell me who they are. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, let's do it. Bam! Someone else just produced an episode from my show. How great is that? So if you want to do something, Pete at breakitdownshow.com, Pete A. Turner, and all the social medias. And I'm definitely glad to talk to whoever. So do it.
This is not my last question, but we mentioned it briefly because as hosts, we get a lot of guests from PodMatch.
Yeah.
But you guest on other shows as well, which a lot of people find you through PodMatch.
Right.
Explain to the people listening how important it is to use something like actually not something like PodMatch, to use PodMatch, period.
And when I say it's rocket fuel, I mean that. Like, you will become a better guest if you use the courses that are on there. You will become a better podcaster or a better guest. If you participate in the events, you'll become more closely aligned with your community. Just look at what Rich and I have done in this conversation. I've given him a lot of game. We all do this for each other all the time. Maybe the things that I do won't work for you and you don't want to do. That's fine, right? But look at all the value that I've tried to stuff into this episode for anyone starting or who has a podcast, Now, if someone was to reach out and email me and say, hey, Pete, I want you to produce my show, wouldn't surprise me at all, because that's what I do on PodMatch. PodMatch creates opportunities like this for people to talk and just, whatever it is that they do, and they get better at it and better at it and better at it, so that you're so tight, you're so good, and there are so many great guests. I just had a guy on the other day. His name's Chris Hood. He's from PodMatch, and he does AI and consulting in AI. But he is not like a pie in the sky. Like, it's gonna do everything for you. He's like, no, it doesn't do any of these things. It does this, and if you do this, well, okay. So that guy, and I brought my buddy Brad on, who's in the same kind of camp. And these guys had this world-class conversation about AI, and someone jumped on from LinkedIn and said, best conversation I've ever heard about AI. Best conversation ever, right? It doesn't matter if it's true or not to anybody else. To that dude, it was. And so that kind of thing, oh my gosh, I bring that up because PodMatch creates this and makes it possible. So I spend less time. I'll find guests. It's not a problem, but it's just easier. And a lot of it's done, and I don't have to take anybody I don't want to take. And so I'm pretty picky about it. But when you have someone like Chris who pays the bills and all the ways he did it, man, I can't get enough of Chris. I want him on the show all the time now. So PodMatch it is huge. It is a huge, huge value. But you've got to be in a position where you can produce episodes.
Yeah.
And so if you're just getting started, it's a good place to try to start and see. And it'll be a good test bed. Spend the $30 or whatever it is a month and get access to all their tools and make the most of it. You can become a really good podcaster from PodMatch.
The other thing I love about it is, to me, it's a giant network family.
Oh, boy.
Because all the people I've met, somehow or another, we always stay connected and learn from each other. Yeah, and there's been a lot of people I've had here locally on the show, and I tell them, you need to get on PodMatch and get on other shows. Yeah. And a lot of them have come back and thanked me for it. I'm going to mention the one guy, Damian Bloss, wrote an awesome book. And he's just been, I say, the podcast circuit, just promoting his book, talking about it. And he said how much it's helped, and now he's on the second book.
Yeah.
All right. So, Pete, give me a number between 1 and 100.
57.
57. Why 57?
First number that popped in my head.
Okay. All right. So this is the last question.
All right.
Okay. Oh, okay. I like this. If you could design your ideal day with no limitations, what would it look like?
Well, I wouldn't be doing a whole lot of work. Yeah. I enjoy a lot of things. And this morning I just had some iced coffee because we had leftover coffee from the last couple of days. And I sat there and I was reading for the show and I had my cat in my lap, and it was just a little bit too cold. So my cat kept me warm. And man, that's as close to perfection as you can get. The other thing I would say is I love a nightcap. And I say nightcap, I don't mean like Love Boat, but I mean like you get out. I was on the Ride for the Brave, right? We were doing this thing, and Scott was in front of me, riding guy in this. he's tired, exhausted, needs to get his rest. His girlfriend's with him, and so we're there as a group. And my buddy John, who I do the show with, he flew out because he didn't want to miss the Ride for the Brave. Knew was our last year doing it, and so we were all
Right.
there, and we're in New Orleans, and we had finished all of our fundraising and all that. And it really is like, and we're deep into the ride. It's we're exhausted, and I said, and now we're going to go out and go get beignets because it's
Oh,
basically midnight because this is the last time all four of us are going to be here in any kind of near future, and we're not missing that opportunity. And that for me is how you do it. You cap the night off, and you have so many of these moments that when Rich and I are talking years from now, like, remember that time when we did this thing? And then I'm like, wait, which good time was that? Because that to me is how you do these things. So when I think about what I would do if there were no limits, I would always, go sit in that back balcony and watch the sunset and
yeah.
with good people. I used to be able to use this wharf house in my hometown. It's a gorgeous location. It sits right over the water, and the sun sets just off in the front of it. And I would invite my friends over as often as I had because the place was not going to be around forever. And I was able to use it. It's a little shed on a wharf. That's all it is, just a shed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to get people over there all the time, and it was just magic moments where the water's either splashing or lapping or just being quiet. And
Wow.
those things, man, I'll take as many of those moments. I'll go out of my way to have as many of those moments. I'll call more people so I can have more of those moments because they're good for the soul. So if I'm going to build my day, it's going to have
Good
a great,
therapy.
great nightcap.
Yeah, I like that. You're right. When you sit out there just enjoying nature and looking at it,
Yeah.
just soak it all in.
Yeah.
Pete, thanks a lot, man. It has been an honor.
Likewise.
Thank you for your service, of course, too.
Same.
And when you come on again, we also got to talk about that Ride for the Brave.
Okay, we will.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, brother. Thank you for listening to the Conversations with Rich Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something from it as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations like this, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps us reach more listeners and share more incredible stories. Don't forget to connect with us on social media or visit our website at conversationswithrichbennett.com for updates, giveaways, and more. Until next time, take care, be kind, and keep the conversations going. It takes a lot to put a podcast together, and my sponsors help out a lot, but I also have some supporters that actually help me when it comes to the editing software, the hosting, and so forth. There's a lot that goes into putting this together. So I want to thank them. And if you can, please visit their websites, visit their businesses, support them however you can. So please visit the following. Full Circle Boards. Nobody does charcuterie like Full Circle Boards. Visit them at fullcircleboards.com. Sincerely Sawyer Photography. Live in the moment. They'll capture it. Visit them at sincerelysawyer.com. The Joppatown Lions Club. Serving the community since 1965. Visit them at joppatownlionsclub.org. And don't forget the E at the end of Joppatown because they're extraordinary.